Kamado Tanjiro, the goodest of good boys and talented practitioner of the water-breathing style of demon slaying. So what have we got here today? We'll continue where we left off last episode and get our feet wet with the water-breathing style for the Warrior of Breath archetype. Welcome to my wife is the MC. I'm DMV and you're watching Husbando Homebrew, a show where we take pop culture to pen and paper. Today we're giving out some love for the hydro homies out there and exploring the different forms of the water breathing technique based on Kamado Tanjiro from the Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba series. If you haven't seen the Warrior of Breath episode, I highly recommend you take a look at that to get a full picture of the entire subclass. The breathing forms of the series is represented by the class's core feature called Breathing Technique. Check out the timestamps in the description if you've already seen the previous Husbando Homebrew and skip over the quick recap. I also won't be talking about the other subclass features, so if you're curious, you really should check it out. Real quick, Breathing Technique does the following. It has you pick which breathing style to use. Last episode we looked at fire, and this time we'll look at water. It also increases the number of times you can use your second wind feature, and doing so allows you to use the different forms your breathing style grants you. The forms themselves, the cool moves that the Demon Slayers love to declare, are part of this core feature. You learn the 1st to 4th forms at 3rd level, 5th to 7th forms at 7th level, and the rest at 10th level. Last is the wisdom-based saving throw for some forms that force targets to make a save. Now before we take a look at all the forms, make sure you slice that like boulder and breathe in that subscribe button. 1st to 4th forms. So, as a bonus action, you use your second wind feature. Roll your die, get some HP or temp HP, and then gain the effects of your breathing form. For water breathing, you gain advantage on saving throws against becoming charmed or frightened until the end of your next turn. After using your second wind, you also enter a state of concentrated breathing where you can start using your forms until the end of your next turn. First form, Water Surface Slash. You generate water around your weapon when you hit, granting you advantage on damage. Reroll your damage dice and take the higher result. Second form, Water Wheel. Spin as you strike and hit another fool within 5 feet of you using the same attack roll for both targets. Third form, Flowing Dance. Flow between your enemies as you make your attacks without provoking opportunity. Fourth form, Striking Tide. Use the momentum of your limbs to deliver an additional attack if you roll high enough on an attack roll, only usable once per turn. So these are the first forms you use at 3rd level. Flow and motion are the themes of the water breathing forms, and while they sometimes overlap with the fire breathing forms, they do provide different benefits in terms of attacking and moving. At 7th level, you learn some of the more intermediate forms. 5th to 7th forms. 5th form, Blessed Rain after the drought. Deliver Tanjiro's once-in-a-series attack by reducing a creature to 0 hit points mercifully. You cast the Calm Emotion spell as part of the same attack. 6th form, Whirlpool. Twist yourself upward and use that flowing momentum to replace one of your attacks with a Cylinder of Pain. Deal 1d6 slashing and 1d6 cold on a dex save. Increases to 1d8 if you happen to be underwater. 7th form, Drop Ripple Thrust. Protect yourself and others from crazy ball-throwing yanderes by creating an anti-yandere ball field that grants a bonus to AC against range attacks until the start of your next turn. Let's step away from intermediate forms and take a look at the final forms of the breathing style. Unlike fire breathing, water breathing has 3 different forms at 10th level, so let's take a look. 8th to 10th forms. 8th form, Waterfall Basin. Punch the fools beneath you with a crash of water that deals 1d8 bludgeoning and 1d8 cold. Bumps up to 1d10 if you're from a higher position. 9th form, Splashing Water Flow. Replace one of your attacks by moving and confusing your enemy with your movement and grant yourself advantage on your next attack and the effects of the Freedom of Movement spell until the end of your next turn. This is a special form that requires you to use your second wind in between uses. 10th and final form, Constant Flux. Attack with the Wrath of a Water Dragon, increasing the impact of your attacks with a +1 bonus to attack and an additional 1d8 cold damage for every 10 feet of distance you cover before you strike. Maximize this form by using total concentration breathing and really ruin some pretentious spider demon's day. And there you have it, the 10 forms of the Warrior of Breath's water breathing style. Feel free to tell me how awesome it is and how you wish your DM would allow this in your games down in the comments section. If I wasn't clear before, this is an expansion of the Warrior of Breath archetype that I recently released, so be sure to check the video to get a better idea on the subclass. And you might as well check on other videos while you're here. Be sure to check the description down below to get the link to the copy of the Homebrew. Before you go, would love it if you left a like on this video and subscribe if this is the sort of thing you're into. Oh, and don't forget to share this with your sister. As always, thank you for being here, and I appreciate you for making it to the end of the video. This has been My Wife is DMC. I'm DMV, and I'll see you in the next Husbando Homebrew.